A device featuring a large, clear e-ink screen, and also the ability to add handwritten sticky notes to whatever you're reading, as well as enough storage for all your PDFs. I'm, of course, not talking about the Kindle Scribe. No, I'm talking about an e-reader that was far ahead of its time. This is a quick look back at what might just have been the greatest e-reader ever made. Now, this won't be too long a video, as I kind of founded this channel on reviews of this device back when it was still on the market. My main point of this video is to look at this device again, but within a new context. The recent release of the Amazon Kindle Scribe has, I think, underwhelmed a lot of people, and I am definitely one of them. Add to that the fact that, while there have been bursts of innovation, I think a lot of people have been frustrated by the lack of true progress in the e-ink e-reader space. In fact, in my opinion, the latest big entry into this market, the Kindle Scribe, might actually represent taking whole leaps backwards. To see what I mean, let's take a leap backwards ourselves to 2014, the year this grand device, the Sony DPT-S1 or digital paper, was originally released. Sony shocked the e-ink world by delivering a device that was so revolutionary, so useful, and so expensive that no one had seen anything like it before. The device sported a then revolutionary new e-ink display called Mobius, which was partially flexible. The device's screen was of a dimension also never before seen in the personal e-reading space, at 13.3 inches diagonally. To give you an idea how revolutionary this was at the time, let's contextualize this a bit. Back in 2014, a lot of people still had phones like this. The biggest Kindle e-reader available, and probably only then on the second-hand market, was the Kindle DX, with its 9.7-inch screen, and screens on any competing e-reader brands were no larger. So throw in a 13.3-inch lightweight, annotation-capable device into this market, and you got yourself a disruptive force. Okay, Mr. Inktelligent, if this device was so great, why didn't it take over the market? Well, the wallet-draining initial price tag of $1,100 is probably to blame. I don't know what Sony was thinking to justify this price. I'm not sure that they could. And it was mercilessly lampooned for it. Frankly, I think they were kind of asking for that and maybe deserved it. Great device though it was. Near the end of its run, Sony did lower the cost of the DPT-S1, but by then it was just too late to gain any bigger foothold in the e-ink market, and I think a lot of people had already dismissed this as just a luxury device. You can kind of see why that might be when you see stories popping up on the internet about how Sony was mainly using this for very niche industries at law firms or Hollywood, both of which are not exactly the common man's realm. It's really too bad. I think we all could have seen the proliferation of larger screen e-readers much faster than we actually have if Sony had given this device a more reasonable price tag. On the hardware side alone, it really stood by itself. Lightweight, thin, very slightly flexible, but I wouldn't recommend actually bending one to test that. And it also came with a micro SD card slot to expand the storage up to 32 gigabytes. Now, to put that in perspective, as far as I'm aware, no modern Kindle device has ever featured an expandable storage slot. And as for the storage size, only now are 32 gigabyte storage options starting to become common on e-readers. So again, the DPT S1 was way ahead of its time here. And that's just looking at the hardware. The device also offered what was probably the best note-taking experience on e-ink up till that time. Pen latency was low, and it was one of the first ink devices I felt I could actually write on in a meaningful way. Is the Remarkable 2 better at this nowadays? I'd say yes, but that's not the point here. This device excelled at this all the way back to 2014. That's before the first Remarkable tablet even launched. And this is on the same device that featured buttery smooth pinch to zoom operation, the kind that I almost never see anymore. Excellent document navigation options, including both page jump and page thumbnail views, a great search feature, and the incredibly useful ability to instantly jump between several open documents at once via the use of tabs. You have to realize that any of these features that might sound familiar to you now, these were really not common at all on e-readers at the time. It was almost unheard of. Oh yes, and did I mention that it allowed you to annotate PDFs, which you could load directly onto the device, either through the charging cord or the micro SD card slot? And you could do all of this, say this with me folks, without having to use any app first. That's not the current experience you're going to get on the Kindle Scribe, even though it's a device launched with technology that is the better part of a decade more advanced. Even when you look at screen resolution, the modern day state of e-reading devices isn't looking all that great. The DPT S1 had a resolution of about 150 ppi, about the same as the Amazon Kindle DX did. The Kindle Scribe features a resolution of 300 ppi, true, but it's still the only 10 plus inch screen e-ink e-reader to accomplish this so far. And that's roughly only 2 times the resolution of the DPT S1. And this is the state of the e-ink market years later. I think people would be absolutely forgiven for asking why we aren't instead getting a full color device with 600 ppi resolution that lets us annotate on any PDF we put on the device without needing to use the Send to Kindle feature first. Why is that, Amazon? Oh, and another thing, the DPT S1 was miles ahead of both the Kindle Scribe with its handwritten sticky notes. That's the DPT S1's handwritten sticky notes. It even offered you the option to type these out instead if you preferred, as well as the Remarkable with its selection of notes feature to allow you to cut, copy, and paste these. The downsides that I can think of is that the DPT S1 could only read PDF files and that there was no ebook store on this device at all. But Sony did build this thing to do one thing and do it well. I think I prefer that approach to the one that Amazon has recently taken with the Kindle Scribe. In other words, almost no real focus on PDF annotation. The DPT S1 was a truly revolutionary device from another age, another way of thinking. I would really like to see that kind of thinking make a comeback. Hopefully, soon. Oh yes, one last thing. For fellow DPT S1 owners out there, my device recently had a bit of a temper tantrum and wouldn't retain a charge if I plugged it into a wall outlet. So, in the end, I had to feed it a smaller charge, like from a laptop's USB port, to get it working again. Just a tip to consider in case your device is having similar issues. I hope it helps. Personally, I'm just grateful this device is still going strong years after it launched. Well done, Sony. Well done.